Did you know that just a small handful of nuts each day can make a huge difference to your health? It sounds simple, but for our companions of the same age, these small choices in diet are the very building blocks of long-term health. I meet many older folks who share, "I'm not young anymore, it doesn't matter what I eat." But the truth is, it's precisely when we pass 60, 70, that our bodies need even more meticulous care than ever before. And today, I want to invite you to spend a few moments with me to explore these tiny nuts that carry tremendous power. Not only do they help protect the heart, nourish memory, keep joints flexible, but they also support stable blood sugar, a concern that many older adults here in the US grapple with every day. Let's delve into things that seem simple, but could be the key to helping you live healthier, happier, and longer lives. As a health expert specializing in working with seniors, I often encounter questions like, "Doctor, lately I've been forgetting acquaintances' names, and sometimes I can't even remember what I was just doing. Is there a natural way to improve my memory?" The answer I often start with is something seemingly very simple: walnuts. Walnuts have long been considered one of the golden foods for the brain. And this isn't just folklore. Many serious scientific studies, especially from the University of California, Los Angeles, UCLA, have demonstrated a positive link between eating walnuts and cognitive function and memory in older adults. In one large-scale study, scientists found that people who regularly ate walnuts, even just a few times a week, scored higher on memory and concentration tests compared to those who didn't. This is particularly important after the age of 60, when nerve cells begin to age more rapidly and short-term memory is often the first to be affected. What gives this small nut its power? The answer lies in ALA, an omega-3 fatty acid of plant origin abundant in walnuts. Unlike saturated fats that often harm the heart and brain, ALA helps protect nerve cell membranes, maintaining their flexibility and the ability to transmit signals within the brain. Alongside this is the content of polyphenol and vitamin E, powerful antioxidants, which helps slow down the damage to brain cells caused by aging or chronic low-grade inflammation. Beyond the brain, something many older adults are very concerned about is their bone and joint health. Especially those nagging pains in the knees, hips, or lower back, often worsening in cold weather or when the weather changes abruptly. Walnuts have natural anti-inflammatory properties thanks to their antioxidants and healthy fats, which help reduce swelling and pain in the joints, slowing down the progression of joint degeneration. Some of my older patients have shared that after a few weeks of maintaining a habit of eating about 4 to 5 walnuts each day, they felt less morning joint pain, and their spirits were also lighter and clearer. This makes perfect sense, as inflammation not only affects the joints but also emotions and sleep, two factors that are very easily disrupted in the elderly. However, there is one important note. Walnuts are quite high in calories, so for those who are managing their weight, diabetes, or have kidney problems, the dosage should be considered. Usually, about 7 walnuts, equivalent to 1 ounce, about 28 g, per day is enough to provide benefits without affecting blood sugar levels or weight. In addition, you should choose unsalted, unsweetened varieties to preserve their nutritional value and avoid adding unnecessary sodium. In conclusion, if you are looking for a simple, natural way to support memory, reduce joint inflammation, and protect overall health, then walnuts are a reliable companion. And sometimes, a small change, like adding a few walnuts to your breakfast, is the very first step in keeping your old age sharp, comfortable, and healthy day by day. If you were to ask me, someone who has worked in the field of senior health for over 25 years, if there's a snack that's both delicious and helps extend lifespan, I wouldn't hesitate to say, it's almonds. In the post-65 age group, what many of my patients constantly worry about is their heart. One person even joked, "Doctor, I might forget what I ate this afternoon, but I remember very clearly what my blood pressure was yesterday." A statement that's both funny and true. Because cardiovascular health is a persistent concern, especially when you cross the age threshold where the body starts talking in its own way. Almonds, these tiny nuts packed with vitality, have been scientifically recognized as the silent guardians of the heart, especially for older adults in the US. According to a large study by the Harvard School of Public Health, regularly eating a handful of almonds each day can significantly reduce the risk of cardiovascular diseases, the leading cause of death in the 65 and older age group. This power comes from the nutrients naturally present in each almond. First and foremost is vitamin E, a powerful antioxidant that helps protect the endothelium, the lining of blood vessels. Damage to this lining can lead to atherosclerosis, high blood pressure, and even stroke. You can think of vitamin E as a thin layer of armor, helping your blood vessel walls from rusting over the years. In addition, almonds are a rich source of magnesium, a mineral that plays a crucial role in blood vessel dilation and blood pressure stabilization. Many people over 70 experience mild dizziness and fatigue after eating, and the cause can sometimes simply be a magnesium deficiency. Adding almonds to the diet, without needing to be complicated, can be a very effective way to support blood pressure control without increasing medication dosages. What's more, what impresses me most when talking about almonds is their ability to help control blood sugar after meals. This is particularly important for older adults living with type 2 diabetes, a condition all too common in the US today. Almonds have a low glycemic index, are rich in fiber and protein, which helps slow down the absorption of carbohydrates, thus avoiding the sugar spike right after eating, which is why many people have to constantly adjust their insulin. One of my 74-year-old patients, living in Arizona, once shared that she often experienced energy dips in the afternoon and had strong cravings for sweets. After changing her habits, instead of cookies or candy, she switched to eating about 15 to 20 unsalted almonds each day. After a few weeks, she not only felt healthier and more alert, but her HbA1c levels also started to improve slightly, a very positive sign for someone with prediabetes. Of course, everything must be in moderation. I often advise patients to choose dry-roasted almonds without added salt or sugar, and to maintain a serving of about 1 ounce per day, equivalent to about 23 almonds. You can sprinkle them on oatmeal, mix them with unsweetened yogurt, or simply carry a small bag in your purse, so you can have them whenever you feel a slight hunger. As we age, choosing the right foods not only helps protect our health but is also a way to say to ourselves, I am still taking care of myself, every day. And sometimes, just a handful of almonds, small but consistent, is enough to make a big difference to your heart and life. And you know, if almonds are the guardians of the heart, then the friend I'm about to mention next is an expert at protecting mental clarity and joint health, a small but mighty nut, often overlooked in our kitchen cabinets. That's pistachios. I still remember once visiting an elderly patient in Santa Fe. He took me out to the porch, poured a cup of hot tea, and then whispered, "You know, doctor, I don't snack on junk food anymore. I'm only addicted to pistachios." I chuckled and said, "Well, then you're taking good care of your heart." Pistachios are one of the nuts I frequently encourage my older patients to consume, especially those who are concerned about weight, cholesterol, and cardiovascular health. Because they are not only delicious but also very smart nutritionally, a snack that makes us feel satisfied without the guilt of many other treats. Firstly, what makes pistachios ideal for people over 65 is their lower calorie content compared to most other nuts. On average, a serving of about 49 pistachios contains only around 160 calories, significantly less than the same amount of walnuts or almonds. If you're trying to manage your weight or monitoring your blood sugar, then pistachios are an excellent choice. Beyond that, this small nut has a significant impact on cardiovascular health. Studies in the US have shown that pistachios help lower bad cholesterol, LDL, and increase good cholesterol, HDL, a crucial factor in preventing cardiovascular diseases. I once had a 69-year-old male patient living in Florida who had quite high LDL levels. After incorporating a diet rich in green vegetables and adding pistachios to his snacks, within just 8 weeks, his blood lipid levels improved significantly, and importantly, he felt like he wasn't forced to diet anymore because he could still enjoy his favorite afternoon snack. Another strength of pistachios is their high plant-based protein content, which is essential for maintaining muscle mass in old age. After 60, muscle loss occurs silently but worryingly, affecting balance, strength when walking, and the risk of falls. Therefore, supplementing with plant-based protein like pistachios is a natural, gentle, yet effective way to maintain a flexible body. Pistachios also have a low glycemic index, helping to stabilize blood sugar levels after meals, which is very valuable for older adults managing prediabetes or type 2 diabetes. And there's an interesting point. Because pistachios are often sold in their shells, the act of shelling each nut slows down eating, helps you feel full longer, and prevents overeating, a small but very effective tip for portion control. I always remind my patients, you don't need to change too much, just change consistently and meaningfully. And replacing that nightly bag of chips with a small handful of dry roasted, unsalted pistachios can sometimes be the small step that makes a big difference. And then, if pistachios can keep the heart healthy and muscles strong, the next nut is a powerful assistant for the eyes, skin, and even memory, a superfood with a striking purple hue that many people often overlook, that is, chia seeds. I often tell my older patients this: as the body begins to age, what we need isn't expensive or exotic things, but smart, simple, and appropriate choices. And on the list of easy-to-use, safe, and effective foods for seniors, chia seeds always hold a very special place. You may have heard many people call chia seeds a superfood. In fact, that title isn't an exaggeration. Because just one small spoonful of chia seeds, about a teaspoon mixed into morning porridge or a fruit smoothie, provides your body with a significant amount of soluble fiber, which helps stabilize blood sugar after meals and supports gentle digestion without causing bloating. Chia seeds are also a plant-based source of omega-3s, which are good for the heart, especially important as we enter our 60s and beyond. Studies have shown that older adults who regularly eat foods containing omega-3s may reduce their risk of heart rhythm disorders and stroke, and at the same time improve memory and mood, a very valuable benefit in later life. What I particularly appreciate about chia seeds is their high calcium content, even higher than some types of milk. For older adults with osteoporosis or at risk of fractures, increasing calcium intake from plant-based sources like chia seeds is a very reasonable choice. It doesn't cause bloating, doesn't contain lactose, and is also gentler on the digestive system than regular cow's milk. I remember a 74-year-old female patient in Minnesota who had a mild allergy to milk, so every time she drank it, she experienced stomach pain and discomfort. After I suggested using chia seeds daily, she mixed them into her oatmeal or sprinkled them on almond milk, and after just 3 months, her bone density test results had improved significantly, and she still calls chia seeds her little magic seeds. One thing I often emphasize: with chia seeds, you don't need to use too much. Just 1 to 2 teaspoons per day, mixed into water, porridge, yogurt, or your favorite dish is enough to feel the difference. Simple, gentle, and effective, that's the spirit of healthy living in old age. However, not every type of nut is an ideal companion. There are some nuts, even though nutritious, that if used incorrectly or in excess, can have the opposite effect, especially in people over 65. Next, we will take a closer look at 4 types of nuts that older adults should be cautious with, or should only use in moderation. I often tell my older patients this: as the body begins to age, what we need isn't expensive or exotic things, but smart, simple, and appropriate choices. And on the list of easy-to-use, safe, and effective foods for seniors, chia seeds always hold a very special place. You may have heard many people call chia seeds a superfood. In fact, that title isn't an exaggeration. Because just 1 small spoonful of chia seeds, about a teaspoon mixed into morning porridge or a fruit smoothie, provides your body with a significant amount of soluble fiber, which helps stabilize blood sugar after meals and supports gentle digestion without causing bloating. Chia seeds are also a plant-based source of omega-3s, which are good for the heart, especially important as we enter our 60s and beyond. Studies have shown that older adults who regularly eat foods containing omega-3s may reduce their risk of heart rhythm disorders and stroke, and at the same time improve memory and mood, a very valuable benefit in later life. What I particularly appreciate about chia seeds is their high calcium content, even higher than some types of milk. For older adults with osteoporosis or at risk of fractures, increasing calcium intake from plant-based sources like chia seeds is a very reasonable choice. It doesn't cause bloating, doesn't contain lactose, and is also gentler on the digestive system than regular cow's milk. I remember a 74-year-old female patient in Minnesota who had a mild allergy to milk, so every time she drank it, she experienced stomach pain and discomfort. After I suggested using chia seeds daily, she mixed them into her oatmeal or sprinkled them on almond milk, and after just 3 months, her bone density test results had improved significantly, and she still calls chia seeds her little magic seeds. One thing I often emphasize: with chia seeds, you don't need to use too much. Just 1 to 2 teaspoons per day, mixed into water, porridge, yogurt, or your favorite dish is enough to feel the difference. Simple, gentle, and effective, that's the spirit of healthy living in old age. However, not every type of nut is an ideal companion. There are some nuts, even though nutritious, that if used incorrectly or in excess, can have the opposite effect, especially in people over 65. Next, we will take a closer look at 4 types of nuts that older adults should be cautious with, or should only use in moderation. In my over 20 years of working with older adults in community health centers, I've noticed an interesting trend. Cashews are very popular among seniors because of their buttery, rich flavor and soft texture, making them easy to chew, especially when teeth aren't as strong as they used to be. But just like a delicious dessert, not everything appealing is good in excess, especially at an age when there are already many changes in metabolism and the body's ability to filter waste. The first noteworthy point is that cashews have a relatively high oxalate content, a natural substance that can form kidney stones if the body doesn't eliminate it in time. For younger people, this might pose less of a risk, but for those of you 65 and older, when kidney function begins to decline slightly over time, continuously eating a lot of cashews can silently accumulate oxalates without you even knowing. By the time you experience a sharp back pain or nausea at night, it's often too late. Furthermore, many older adults tend to choose salted cashews because they taste more flavorful. But this is exactly what doctors often have to remind them about. Pre-packaged cashews usually contain high levels of sodium, which can easily cause blood pressure to spike, especially for those already taking blood pressure or diabetes medication. I once examined an elderly gentleman who had swelling in both feet for an entire week, and after carefully reviewing his diet, we discovered the cause was his habit of eating 2 handfuls of salted cashews every afternoon. My advice is, you can still enjoy cashews, but you should choose the unsalted variety, that is, without salt, preferably organic if possible, and only eat a small amount, about 4 to 6 nuts at a time. A few times a week is sufficient. If possible, drink more water when you eat them to help your kidneys function more smoothly. And when it comes to familiar snacks that are easy to mindlessly eat while watching TV or on a picnic, sunflower seeds are perhaps the most common culprit. Small, crunchy, and often heavily salted, but few people know that behind that appeal lie some risks that older adults need to pay close attention to. I still remember visiting an elderly couple in Arizona, both in their late 70s, generally in stable health, but recently the wife had been complaining of headaches and fatigue, while the husband felt numbness in his limbs and some insomnia. After chatting for a while and reviewing their medications and diet, we discovered they had a nightly habit of sharing a small bag of salted sunflower seeds while watching the news, seemingly harmless, but it was having a significant impact. The reality is that sunflower seeds contain a lot of vitamin E, which is good news. This vitamin has antioxidant properties that support the skin, eyes, and immune system, very essential in later years. But unfortunately, most sunflower seeds sold in the US are heavily salted. Just a small serving can contain 100 to 200 milligrams of sodium, or even more if you eat the whole bag. For those trying to control their blood pressure or who have been advised to eat a low-sodium diet, this habit can absolutely cause blood pressure fluctuations, increasing the burden on the heart and kidneys. Not only that, but recent research indicates that eating too much sodium can also increase inflammation in the body, especially for those with pre-existing conditions like arthritis, diabetes, or cardiovascular disease. And as you know, chronic inflammation is one of the silent culprits that weakens overall health, from the bones and joints to memory. Another point to emphasize: many older adults have dental issues, weak teeth, or dentures. When eating sunflower seeds, some people have a habit of cracking the shells with their teeth and chewing the hard parts, which can lead to cracked teeth, gingivitis, or jaw pain. In addition, small shell fragments can sometimes get stuck in the gaps between teeth or the oral mucosa, causing prolonged discomfort, or even leading to infection if not cleaned properly. If you enjoy sunflower seeds, my advice is, choose the unsalted, pre-shelled variety, and only eat a small amount, about 1 tablespoon at a time, as a small part of a snack is reasonable. Combining this with drinking plenty of water and adding more vegetables will help balance the sodium levels in your body. And now, let's move on to a type of nut that sounds a bit more luxurious: macadamia nuts. With their rich, buttery, and soft texture, they are considered the butter of nature. But for older adults, what are the benefits, and what requires caution? Let's explore that right now. Many older adults I've met in Florida or California, places with warm climates and lush greenery, often share that they really enjoy macadamia nuts. You can easily find them in snack bags at Whole Foods, Trader Joe's, or in upscale gift boxes during the holidays. Macadamia nuts have a rich, buttery, and soft texture, truly an appealing snack, especially for older adults who can no longer eat very dry or hard foods. However, behind that delicious taste is something to consider. Macadamia nuts have a very high calorie content. Just a small handful, about 28 grams, contains nearly 200 calories and 21 grams of fat. That means if you're trying to manage your weight or maintain healthy cholesterol levels, eating too many of these nuts can make your efforts go down the drain. Notably, the fat in macadamia nuts belongs to the monounsaturated group, which is better than the saturated fat from red meat or animal butter. However, the fat content is still higher than in most other nuts, like walnuts or almonds. For people with heart problems, diabetes, or fatty liver disease, eating a large amount of macadamia nuts can increase the fat content in the blood, thereby adding more burden to the heart and blood vessels. In addition, there is some evidence that macadamia nuts may have mild interactions with certain cardiovascular medications, such as blood pressure-lowering drugs or diuretics. Although not common, if you are taking daily medication, it's a good idea to consult your doctor or pharmacist before regularly consuming them to avoid unwanted effects. Of course, if you truly love macadamia nuts, I wouldn't say you have to cut ties with them completely. But consider them as a special treat, only to be enjoyed on special occasions, and importantly, eat them in moderation. A few nuts sprinkled on a salad, or a small spoonful with afternoon tea, is enough to enjoy the natural flavor without worrying about your health. Dear friends, old age doesn't mean absolute abstinence or giving up the things you love. Rather, it's a time when we understand our bodies better than ever, to eat right, live happily, and live healthily. Nuts, if carefully selected and used correctly, are a wonderful natural gift for the health of older adults, helping the heart to be healthier, blood sugar to be more stable, and even keeping the mind sharp and cheerful every day. Let's see each meal as an opportunity to take care of ourselves, not with restriction, but with love and understanding. Because after living more than half a lifetime, the most precious thing is not just living long, but living truly fully, every day. Thank you for listening until the very end. If today's sharing has been helpful, please press the like button so I know I'm on the right track. And if you want to continue watching other videos about health, nutrition, and a positive lifestyle in old age, then don't forget to press the subscribe button. It's completely free, so you don't miss any new content in the future. You can also share this video with friends, relatives, or older people you love, because sometimes, just a small piece of timely information can help someone live healthier and happier every day.